Perfect. Hello and welcome to the 5 day heart healing series. My name is Navreet and I am so excited to guide you through this heart healing series. So, this is day one. And before we begin, I want to give a little disclaimer that this 5 day heart healing series is a guided journey for emotional awareness, energetic balance, and self reflection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, or therapeutic care. The practices shared, including breathwork, visualization, journaling, and gentle movement, are intended for general well being and personal growth. So, if you have medical or mental health conditions, please consult a qualified healthcare provider. And by participating, you agree to take responsibility for your own well being and to practice with your comfort and capacity. Listen to your body, honor your pace, and remember healing is a process, not a performance. All right, so this is day one. Welcome. And if you have read my book, If My Heart Could Talk, you know that day one focuses specifically on healing the mother wound. The mother wound, that is the inner feminine within us. It is also the physical mother. So if you know the saying, as within, so without, as above, so below, the mother inside of you, the way that she's outside of you is your physical mother. So your physical mother is in front of you, but within you, you also have a mother, and that is the feminine part of you. So, a gentle reminder that healing the heart is very important and very sacred. Your heart is the gentlest yet strongest organ you will ever connect with. It holds memories, traumas, betrayal, regret, guilt, shame, grief, but it also holds kindness, love, freedom, relaxation, wealth, creation. So, healing the mother wound. We're going to talk about it, and then you will find a guided practice to go along with this informational session. All right, so the mother wound is the emotional template from which our capacity for love, safety, and belonging first formed. Before we ever had words, we learned about trust through her tone, love through her eyes, and safety through her touch or the absence of it. So, the mother wound is the disconnection from the inner feminine because it represents the first rupture in our relationship to nurturance, receptivity, and emotional safety. These are all qualities traditionally associated with the feminine principle. And this is not gender, this has nothing to do with gender, but has everything to do with energy. The feminine part of you, that is energy. So if that connection between you and the mother, if that was interrupted, whether through absence, criticism, overprotection, or emotional neglect, the nervous system learned to guard the heart instead of opening it. So we subconsciously internalize the message that the feminine isn't safe. And because of this, we then distance ourselves from the parts of us that feel, need, or yield. And these are traits that are rooted in the inner feminine. So, one thing to note, healing the mother wound is not about blaming our mothers. It's about rewiring the patterns that our body built in response to love that felt unsafe. So the inner feminine is about being rather than doing, feeling rather than fixing. And this is why the work that we are doing in this community and everything that I'm excited to build and create with you is focused on nurturing the inner feminine. by doing yoga, meditation, journaling, and things that allow you to slow down. So, when the mother wound forms, the nervous system learns that receptivity equals vulnerability, and vulnerability once led to pain. So if you struggle to be vulnerable, then you're going to have a lot of suppressed emotions that stop you from being vulnerable. So this is why we armor up, we get hyper independent, we try to overachieve, we have emotional control or lack emotional control. And in doing so, we disconnect from the very essence that could bring us back into balance. I love this word balance because that is what yoga allows you to do. It allows you to figure out where the imbalances are in the body so that they can come back into balance. So when we tend to the mother wound, the heart no longer has to armor itself. It can finally rest, receive, and connect freely again. So, in essence, we heal the heart by teaching the nervous system that love no longer equals danger. Okay, so I want to pause, and I know Manish, you are here. Can you please? I'd love to know what you're feeling right now. Is this something you have experienced or gone through? Like, is this resonating right now?
It is a bit. I just had a question actually on the. I think you had a slide, two slides earlier, just around what like the outcomes are, like the hyper independence and those other bullet points. Do you think that's necessarily bad, like for like certain periods of time?
Hold on. I tried to highlight you, but then I lost track. So you said two slides before this one?
Yeah, like the hyper independence, that
Yeah.
armor up line. Like, is it? I mean, do you think it's necessarily bad if it's like for like a time period? You know what I mean?
That's a really good question. No, I do not think it's bad because if we try to label it as bad, then it will become bad. But if we just accept it and do it and know that we are in a period right now where maybe we need to be, maybe we need to set stronger boundaries, or we need to, it's okay to want to overachieve in certain areas as long as it's not harming anyone and you're communicating your needs. So does that help?
Yeah, yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Okay. Yay. Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think about that a lot because I have phases where sometimes I will just go all in on one thing and forget about everything else, which comes with its own set of challenges. So, this is why yoga for me has been really helpful because it helps me to prioritize what I actually want to do and should be doing instead of prioritizing things that don't really bring me fulfillment. So, thanks for that question. So, why do we need to heal the mother wound to heal the heart? So, healing the mother wound is a journey through grief, survival, and trust. And this is exactly from my book, If My Heart Could Talk, where the poems are around this grief, survival, and trust. And those are qualities often associated with the mother wound. And so the heart can hold on to these sensations if they weren't fully felt, processed, or acknowledged. So I'm going to quickly go over the three things that I mentioned here, just so that when you understand what these things are, you can actually begin to heal them. So grief is actually the ache of unmet attunement. So the mother is the first mirror through which a child sees itself. When that mirror is clouded, either by her absence, emotional withdrawal, criticism, or even her own unhealed pain, the child experiences an invisible loss, not necessarily of the mother herself, but of attunement. So, attunement is that deep, wordless sense of being felt and understood. So, this is grief in its purest form. It's mainly about disconnection. So, yoga, helps you feel into that deep sense of being, because when you are deep in like a pose, you're kind of forced to feel sensations that are hiding deep within. And if you can identify that with the feeling of grief and acknowledge that right now I'm feeling grief, it's okay to feel, I can heal this and send it loving energy instead. That is where the part of you that maybe was carrying grief, it replaces that grief in the body with love. So when you feel disconnected, instead of chasing things outside of you, yoga helps you to focus within. Okay, so grief lives in the body as heaviness in the chest, a lump in the throat, or a subtle tightening whenever love feels uncertain. So, healing the mother wound means letting that grief move, allowing the tears that were once suppressed to finally complete their cycle. Like, I have to be honest, there are so many yoga classes where I have broke down, started crying, and it is embarrassing, but at the same time, that's the body doing what it needs to do. It's recycling those emotions. It's finally completing the cycle that was left unmet. So, number two, survival. This is the body's adaptation to inconsistent love. When a child senses that love is conditional, dependent on being good, quiet, helpful, perfect, the nervous system shifts from connection mode to protection mode. So every unmet need becomes a blueprint for survival. So this is what can happen. Some people learn to overfunction and say things like, if I do everything right, only then I'll be loved. Some learn to disappear. If I don't make any waves, I'll be safe. And this is when we get stuck hiding because we are focused on surviving rather than showing up as who we really are. And these are not personality traits, they are survival codes. So, healing the mother wound invites the body to unlearn hypervigilance to discover that safety no longer depends on performance. So, this is why when babies don't get what they need, they start to cry. They cry. That is the natural instinct. But as adults, that's not appropriate. If we're not getting what we don't need and we start crying, people are going to think something is wrong with you. So then we suppress those feelings. And this is why yoga helps us to feel into those feelings without needing to take it out on others. So the third one is trust. This is the nervous system's return to safety. So trust is built when consistency meets care. For many, that consistency fractured early. So a mother's unpredictable presence, loving one moment and then being distant the next, teaches the heart to doubt warmth itself. Feeling warm and safe does not exist, because if your mother was not able to give that to you, you learned that you will never get that. So, this is where we start to reprogram the mind and the body with things like yoga. So, as adults, this manifests as anxious attachment. For example, will you leave me, or avoidance, I don't need anyone. So the wound is not about the mother's intentions, but the nervous system's confusion. To heal is to restore the coherence, to teach the body that safety is no longer outside of us. So I invite you to head over to the healing practice, healing the mother wound. And I had a poem. Okay, so we're going to stop there. Let me stop recording.